All right. Well, look, I'm not going to try to jam a peg down to a hole, and I hope this isn't insulting to Quintica. But you made a video about why, the proper thing was to call me a liar. And, I get your argument, and I think that's true if you were correct, but there was a misapprehension. So I don't want you to take particular offense at this, but I am going to say how I think you got the wrong end of the stick. But it's also me understanding how I misunderstood, you know, let me butt my shirt here. Why I misunderstood where you were coming from as well, right? So then I responded in a way that led you to, basically, how did we get in where I'm the one describing that it's private, that Twitter is private, that the cables are private, the hard drives are private. See, I made this video letting the market protect free speech and human rights. And most people thinking I'm an SJW, which includes you. You bring it up more than anybody else. Um, I don't think that implies that I think the market can protect free speech, right? So why you would assume I'm okay with Twitter censorship, I think in this video, I likened it to people refusing to bake cakes for gay couples and people thinking you don't have to force restaurants to let African Americans in, right? So if anything, I think, I was coming from it that it's obvious that I'm criticizing free market solutions to this kind of thing. But I understand where you got the idea that, I'm against it. But I think you also bear some responsibility. So let's look right away just at the top comments here. And there's more to the story, right? Because, like I said, I went in talking about how it's all made of private property. And so this made you think that I was saying that I didn't believe it should be a commons. But in those comments that I'm not going to show here that were in your videos, I don't want to hunt them down. I'm pretty sure I remember also saying, hey, I'm for us looking at it as a commons. I disagree that it just is a commons just because you and me think it should be. A lot of people do. And in the last 6 years, well, it's gone in the other direction. And in the 6 years before that, it was going in the other direction of it being private. But just to be clear, yeah, I agree with you. I think there should be a means, and I think there's a way to do that, but we need to work on the idea, and we need to generalize and investigate our idea of a carrier so that internet sites can be treated like phone companies, where they can't stop you from having a phone call because you're criticizing Ma Bell, right? But they also are not liable for, if you use their network to organize a crime or something. Okay, they're not part of the conspiracy. And we're all pretty clear on why the phone company shouldn't be liable for that kind of thing, but that was a legal structure that was invented, okay, that I support. Okay, so I have this video letting the market, and then Barklord says the market is always the best source for determining morality because it alleviates the headache of personal judgment, which, this is sarcasm. And I know Barklord, so I know he's being sarcastic. And so I say, non-sarcastically, but agreeing with him, morality by private enterprise is the worst. At least a bad law is on the level, in the record, can be dealt with and addressed. Okay. And you say, only when it does not support your moral views and ideological paradigm, huh? See, right away, I'm saying private enterprises should not be legislating the morality. And you immediately are like, except for that I do support it. And this is where I got confused, because I thought it was pretty clear from my video. So then I'm in the situation of simply arguing with you, devil's advocate, for the sake of argument, an argument that we do have to deal with, which is the fact that Google and Twitter and Facebook and the backbone internet providers that they use, it's all this private property that they do it. And there's an idea that it's a commons, but not a legal structure. By the legal structure, it isn't a commons. Twitter could do whatever it wants. And then Barklord explains he's being facetious and stuff, and we go on in some other things. And the conversation I'm talking about, further goes off the rails in your comments, in the sense that, I'm describing to you what this counterpoint is to the idea of a commons, because I already said there's this issue with the bakers and the restaurants, and Twitter is like these private businesses. My argument in this video has to do with, hey, look, Twitter's a private business just like this baker's a private business or a restaurant. By what legal means do you tell people that their private property is some sort of a commons, right? And I actually think that the carrier law works really good with these examples because a baker does not have to be a carrier. A baker is fine with being liable for what's printed on a cake, so they could choose any arbitrary reason, I think. If they want this kind of protection, maybe they make cakes for the mob and they say, good, getting off that murder that you did. They don't want to be responsible for that. They could actually be a carrier. Then again, maybe not. Maybe the stuff has to be in the public to some degree, or not the public, but like you don't know your clientele or something. I don't know. We have to work on the specifics of it, but I think the core of it is this idea of a carrier. Okay, so hopefully you understand now that I'm bringing this up because people like Rand Paul are saying we can let the market protect free speech. So I think pointing out when Twitter is doing what it's doing against conservatives, that does it look like to you conservatives? The video wasn't to you in particular. You're not, I don't even consider you conservative. You're just Trump supporter for more unique reasons that are located in our contemporary situation, right? It's not like you've become a big, you know, it's not like you've changed all your mind about when you were a Kucinich supporter, right? I mean, at least you said not. So it's other factors and not just like you're a conservative. Believe me, I know conservatives, longtime Republicans that support Trump as a part of their conservatism. Your support is something else, and a lot of Trump's support is definitely something else separate from the conservatism. Different things have met in the current Republican president. All right. Now, one thing I think that oh, what was this shit I was gonna oh, must have been a lie, my grandmother would say. And so would Quintica. Okay, so I think the important part I covered, but there was something else I was going to say where we do seem to differ in this. Just slipped my mind. Anyway, that's the main thing. I honestly hope, and naively so maybe, that you understand what I'm saying. I still believe the internet should be a commons. I believe that if it's a commons or not, it's not just up to my idea of how it should be. And I also think that the fact that the government funded it is key. But you see, the government's funded a lot of things, robotics, and on, things that then became products that put people out of work, that cost people money, that were funded by the taxpayers that then lose their work, or their parents and grandparents. And so there's a big issue here if you just start saying everything that the government did belongs back to the people, even though it put it in the public domain. And there's reasons to put stuff in the public domain. It sort of trusts private businesses that succeed with those things in the public domain for that to be good for America. And generally, there's a lot of examples where it has been. So if you change that idea, you know, you could have something very socialist, more socialist than I want. I like regulated market, free market aspects. I mean, socialism in the sense that it's not communism. I don't want everything run by the government. And in a way, government has researched and done so many things, aircrafts, you name it. So, but that isn't the other details. See, I'm trying to get this out. I'm just trying to step up my dog. Maybe if I read this thing. No. Well, anyway, I won't belabor it any longer. I kept it nice and short. I think this is reasonable. I think that often what we think we're talking about forks in two directions, and then you call me a liar because as I clarify what's going on, you say, oh, you changed your position, but really it's a change of, from your first impression. For some reason, you got the impression from Barklord and me bad-mouthing morality by private market as except in this case. No, not except in this case. I brought it up because no. I would rather Twitter took itself as a comments. And I think also that if companies don't take themselves that way as a carrier and they start moderating in this way, then they should be liable when people, violate copyright or make plans. It's kind of like if you either want to be a carrier, in which case you're not a safe space, or you want to be a safe space and people can only talk about knitting and no trolling and no anti-knitting people get to go in there. And then those people are responsible for the content. They're taking responsibility for it. All right, cheers.